I'm Lori Bates, and I am so glad that you decided to join me and come to learn some neat new things that you can add into your healthy diets. And we'll discuss how to do flexibility and balance a little bit more in your exercising. We are USDA recommendation based, and we are also affiliated with USU Extension. So should we get started? I'm excited to share with you today a recipe that is easy. You could do it for one person and keep it in the fridge and just kind of warm it up, or you could do it for up to 4 to 6 people as well. So I love dishes like that because it gives us some flexibility. And with our busy households and doing the things that we are doing at this time of year, we're shopping and going in the car and going to kids' games and all of this fun stuff that's going on. And so it's nice to have something that's easy and fun. Also, it'll be a really nice dish to bring in the new year with. First of all, you're going to need a bowl and a little whisk or a spoon or something to mix it with. And we're going to add 2 tablespoons of reduced sodium soy sauce. Okay, if you have it, or whatever you have in hand is good. And see, be careful. One side of this sometimes will pour really, really fast, and the other side kind of drips. So just kind of figure out which one. Okay, we're going to get 2 sliced green onions, and just slice those up really, really thin. And keep your fingers out of the way, of course. Sometimes we get a little carried away. We don't want to slice our fingers up. In order to keep your green onions fresh for longer, wrap them up in some tin foil, and they'll keep for a little bit longer. Okay, mine have been in for about a week, and they're doing really good. Okay, so put those 2 onions in your soy sauce. And then we're going to go ahead and do a clove of garlic. And I wanted to show you that to get the paper off, that's really easy. Just kind of smash that down a little bit, and then you'll see the paper just peels right off, just like so. Okay, let's get a little closer. So then you have a clove, and this is a pretty large clove. So if you like garlic, go ahead and use the bigger clove. But if you're not really into a lot of garlic, then go ahead and cut that in half. All right, so now we have our clove, and I've sliced this one lengthwise, and then we've diced it up so that it looks like that. And so we're going to go ahead and put that right in our bowl. And get that in our soy sauce as well. Okay. And it's, once you get it peeled, it's really easy to do. I wanted to show you too. Just get them all into one spot, and then put your knife down like it's got some glue on the tip, and then just kind of rock your knife back and forth like this. Be careful not to get your fingers, and then gather it all back up and do the same until it's to the size that you would like. I wouldn't recommend really big pieces because to bite into that wouldn't be too grand. In my opinion. I'm not a big, I like garlic, but I don't like big pieces. So make it however See how that kind of just rocks and gets those nice and diced up? That's how you want it. Okay? Just like that. All right. So then when you get that going, put that in your soy sauce right here. We're going to add a half a teaspoon of maple syrup. If you don't have the real stuff, because it can be kind of expensive, go ahead and use the maple syrup that you get from the grocery store that's less expensive, that's, you know, kind of cheaper in price. Imitation, okay? All right, so we'll put that in, and then we're gonna put 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground ginger, just the ground powdered kind. And that's gonna give it a little bite. Okay, so get that all mixed in, and then you're gonna put your meat in here, just like that, and just kind of get it to soak up and start marinating while we get the pan ready. Okay, and it does it, as you can tell, it soaks it up pretty fast. Go ahead and get our pan ready. And we'll just get our pan start to warm up, and you can spray with a little baking spray beforehand, or put just a little bit of oil in it. That will work out just fine too, whichever you have on hand. If you have some mushrooms you want to add, I'm not a big fan of mushrooms. I like them, but the ones at the store didn't look so great, so I decided to go without them. And you can do that as well. And we're going to get a 1/2 cup of broccoli slaw, and that's kind of what that looks like. It's got like carrots and broccoli and coleslaw. So we're just going to get a 1/2 cup of the broccoli slaw going, and we could do a little more too, even putting any mushrooms in. Okay. We've already sprayed our skillet with cooking spray, and we're going to just kind of sear our steak for about 2 or 3 minutes until it gets to the desired doneness that we want. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that right in there. Okay. All right, and then we're going to get that all browned up, and then we're going to remove it from the pan and let it rest, okay, when it gets done. Ooh, my gosh, this smells so good. I love the smell of soy sauce and maple syrup together. There's just a really pleasing, comforting smell to it. We're going to get 1/4 of a cup of water going. And so we'll have that all measured out. And then after this gets done, we're going to put the remaining of this sauce and the water. I'm just going to put them together in here. And so that's all ready. You'll see that I'll have some sauce in the pan as well. Just go ahead and keep that in the pan. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit left of the sauce in the pan. And we're going to add our water and the remaining marinade to that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, at this time, this is the time you would add your mushrooms. And we're going to add our slaw, okay? And like I said, I'm adding a little extra slaw because I didn't add mushrooms to mine, okay? So you can do that as well, or other vegetables, whatever your family will eat and whatever they like, or whatever you have on hand. That will work. And we want to cook it till it gets a little on the wilted side to a crisp tender. And then we will go ahead and sprinkle some sesame seeds to it. and it gets to about that stage. We'll go ahead and add that to our plate that we have our beef with, because we're going to need the pan again. And there's no sense in having like 2 or 3 different pans. Okay, you see how it's, you know, pretty much just got a little bit of moisture to it, and that's what we want. A little bit of a scrambled egg, or you could do a fried egg that you're going to just kind of cut up a little bit. And I think I'm going to just do the fried egg according to the recipe, so you can just see how that's done. So if you've never done a fried egg. So just get the side of your egg and hit it, and then take your thumbs and separate the 2 shells, just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and pierce that yolk. And we're going to let this just cook on a medium-low heat. And then we'll turn it here in a second. Meanwhile, you've got your other stuff just kind of steaming away on your plate right here. Okay. So then you're going to need, I would say, just maybe a teaspoon to a half a teaspoon of oil to do these eggs up, and maybe fry them on each side for about 2 to 3 or even up to 4 minutes, depending on how crunchy you want them on the outside, so they look kind of like that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just turn my heat down a little more. Sometimes these little stoves are a little finicky. Okay, and just kind of move it around. If it jiggles and has, you know, quite a bit of juggle to it, it's not ready. So we'll just let that get that going. Okay, while that's cooking, go ahead and get your tortilla, and you can use a regular flour tortilla or a whole wheat tortilla. And again, I didn't have any wheat tortillas at the store, so went with white. All right, so turn that over, and you'll see it's kind of crunchy through here, and that's how we want it. Then we're going to repeat that with all our different eggs. If you're going to make for 4 to 6 people, you'll do, you know, 4 to 6 eggs. And I'm just going to go ahead and just strip this egg, just to kind of get it in strips so that it will go lengthways in our egg is going to make this nice and warm, so we're not going to have to worry about putting it in the pan. Okay, just like that. In here, get that warmed up a little more. And this is going to make more than one, but we can always use it for leftovers later, or if you have 4 to 6 people, it will feed about that. And then we're going to spread even amounts of the flank steak and the vegetables down the center so that we have enough for everybody. Just like so. So then we have our tortilla. It looks like this. If you wanted, you could put a little cheese on there, but I don't think it needs it. And you're going to fold this up like this, and then fold this over, and then over again. And then you've got this little burrito, and you could add a little beans to the side or some rice with some milk. Way, way yummy. And it would be good for breakfast or lunch or dinner. We want to talk about grains while we are making something from the grain group. And as you can see, this is blown lots and lots of times up of a kernel of wheat. And the reason being is we wanted you to see that the endosperm in the middle is the white flour or your enriched flour. It could be that. And then when it's a whole grain, we have the germ and the bran included in that. And when you take that off, all you have is your white flour or your enriched flour that they've added things into, okay? And then, of course, when we have the whole thing intact, it's a whole grain. And so you can see there's no more nutrients and more oil and vitamin B's and whatnot in it than if it were to be a white flour. And that's why they ask you to have half whole wheat, half white for the day. So if you're eating 6 ounces, 5.5 to 6 ounces of grain every day servings, you're going to do 3 of those whole and 3 white. Some of the things that we talk about when we talk about grains are popcorn. Those are very popular with families when they're watching TV or when they're going to the movies, or even just a snack. It is a whole grain, and it is very healthy for you. The only time it becomes unhealthy is when we add lots and lots of butter and salt, right? So keep that on the lower side, and we'll be doing well. Then also we have brown rice. And brown rice is a whole grain, of course, and it has everything intact, and it's also a whole grain. And then we have oats, old-fashioned or the 5-minute, all whole grains. Barley is a white, oh, you probably remember your mom or your grandma, maybe even you, making beef barley soup. Okay, it could be made into a porridge. It can be made into a side. You could boil it in some broth, like beef broth or chicken broth, and that would be way, way good for you. Then we've got quinoa, which has been a big hit these last few years, and millet, and of course wheat. Right? Our red wheat that we are so lucky to have in our pantries. Very versatile, makes a lot of fun things like our tortillas and bread and pasta. So all kinds of neat things for our diet. The reason why it's important to get these nutrients into our body from whole grains is because fiber helps our stomachs and our colons, and the B vitamins are so good for us. The minerals like iron and magnesium and selenium, all really good for you. Diets rich in whole grains may help reduce blood cholesterol levels and may lower your risk of heart disease, obesity, and type 2 diabetes. Many of our health benefits from whole grain come from the fiber that they contain, which is that outside brand that's on the outside of it. So why is it so important? Well, I've talked to you about it going into our stomach and our digestive tracts, and it helps them to work properly. And it transports cholesterol out of your body. That is all by itself worth having whole grains. It keeps us feeling full longer, so we're not always feeling like we're hungry. Refined grains have gone through a milling process that strips the outer layer bran and the innermost layer germ from the grain kernel. The process removes many important nutrients and fiber from that grain. Enriched grains are refined grains that have some but not all of the nutrients that were lost in the milling process put back in. Okay, so some examples of enriched wheat flour it has vitamin B that were removed during the process, and then they would take that vitamin B and put it back. Fortified grains are grains that have a new nutrient that have been put in it to improve it. For example, like baby cereal. It is a whole grain like rice, and then they add iron to that particular cereal, and it fortifies it. Breakfast cereals are fortified with folic acid and other vitamins. Okay, so how many grains did I say that we're supposed to have on a daily basis? Well, we need to have 5.5 to 6 ounces depending on the activity that we have with our work and during the day and our age. So there's some things to look into, and if you go on to myplate.gov, they'll give you all the details for children and adults and the amounts that they would need. Also, some fun things to learn there too. They have recipes and some games for kids, so give that a try. Also, createbetterhealth.org is another place that will have lots of fun recipes and ideas for you to use whole grains. Right, what is considered 1 ounce of grain? Well, we could do 1 tortilla as one serving, a 1/2 cup of cooked pasta, a slice of bread, a 1/2 of a hamburger bun. So if you have a whole hamburger, that's 2 servings, or a whole hot dog bun, that's considered 2. 1 small corn or flour tortilla, a 1/2 cup of cooked rice, a 1/4 of a large bagel. You know how they make those bagels pretty big, so a 1/4 of that. 1 pancake is considered a serving. 3 cups of popped popcorn. 1/2 cup of cooked cereal. So be thinking of that as you're eating throughout the day, and say, okay, if I have 4 pancakes, that's 4 servings. That leaves me, with 2 more servings for the day. And just kind of go about doing it that way, and you'll get used to it. Is exercise, and we all need it. It will make us feel better, and it will also help us to have more energy. And today I want to talk to you about balance and flexibility. And that is where balance is when you have the ability for your body to remain stable and put in one place. And flexibility is a form of physical activity that is achieved through stretching and moving a joint through a range of motion. So the benefits of having these 2 things is, 1, you decrease the risk of injury, and you increase the range of motion. You also improve your athletic ability, you improve stability, it's especially important for the aging population like myself. It improves stability, allowing us to not fall as much or get hurt as frequent. So it's very, very important for us to do these exercise movements to do better in this area of balance and flexibility. And we will have a handout that you can look over and see the different movements that you will do to increase this. Also, it will decrease soreness associated with other exercise. That's always a plus, right? How often should we do this as an average adult? Well, we should do the balance and flexibility activities each week. And it's recommended that we stretch before and after we do any physical activities. And balance exercises should be performed 1 to 2 times a week. Not too much, just enough. Okay, well, I sure hope that you will think more about grains and make our cabbage and steak burrito and do some more balance and flexibility activities. And I know times are busy, everything's kind of crazy, but hopefully as the new year comes, you will be able to do more things. So this is Laurie Bates, from my home to yours.